If you're running an e-commerce brand and you're tired of filling stock every time it is time to send a campaign, like you want to email a list, but you're staring at a blank screen thinking, what do I even say that won't feel forced or salesy? Or maybe you just keep defaulting to a discount sales strategy, not because you want to, but because you don't know what to send. This video is going to give you 5 campaign angles that are tested, profitable, and super easy to create using assets that you already have. No gimmicks, no fluff. Let's get into it. All right, so the first campaign we'll be talking about today is the Us versus Them campaign. You probably had it before, you probably haven't. But basically, it's a campaign that sends out content that positions your brand as a better alternative versus your competitors. All right. So, how do you do this? You typically use a table or a comparison graphic that looks like a table, or just a stack of benefits versus your competitors' benefits. The assets that you need for this email are lists of your brand or product benefits and features. So the reason why I wrote brand benefits and features is because you might want to go general, just comparing your brand generally versus another brand, another competitor. You might want to go nitty, go deeper, comparing your product benefits with another brand's product benefits and features, right? So the things you need there are the lists of those benefits and features. You need to also do a competitive research, obviously, and you also need to get deeper by digging out customer complaints about other brands that your brand customers don't have, right? Things like that help you a lot in figuring out what to write in this email. Before we enter the bonus tip, I would like to show you an example. This is an example for Byte. You can see, I don't know if you know Byte. Basically, they sell an alternative to toothpaste. Reading through this copy quickly, you can see that they're already setting a sort of like feeling that, okay, what we do here is different from what you've been getting. So clean shouldn't come with a compromise. What is that? Commercial toothpaste are the competitors, yes. Commercial toothpaste comes with a cost to your health. That one statement alone is the whole point of this email. They, meaning your competitors, they do something different. We do what's different. We do something different also, but our different is better than their different. I don't know if that makes sense to you. So you can already see it play out in your head here. Commercial toothpaste comes with a cost to your health. Sprinkling your routine with ingredients that do better for you, and then you can see a subheading here. See how we compare. You can see a very good visual here. Our ingredients, traditional toothpaste. You can start to see how many ways that this Us versus Them can go. It could go in terms of, you can compare the benefits of your product versus the benefits of other people's products. You can compare the features of your products versus the features of other competitors' products. You can go different ways. You can compare your brand's unique value propositions with another brand's unique value proposition, competitors that is a competitor, of course. You can compare your unique selling propositions versus another brand's unique selling. Right? It could go in different ways. That's why it's just generally called an Us versus Them campaign. So bonus tip when you're creating this campaign is try to be fair, right? Use fair wording when comparing you and your brand. Use logical wording. Don't use emotional wording. When I say don't use emotional wording, don't say things like, oh, we are good and then they are bad. Good and bad is very relative, right? So you want to be careful, because if you use that kind of wording, you stand a chance of actually putting your audience off, because they'll be like, they don't profoundly even understand that distinction of good and bad. Like, good and bad is very relative to people. By using a good and bad kind of wording, you risk sounding unfair. So you want to be careful of the kind of words you use. You want to sound very unfair, and you want to make sure the comparison is a very fair comparison. An example from Amberjack, you can see it's less graphical, like Byte's own, meaning signaling to you that you don't have to go crazy with the design. You just have to like pass the message across, and you can see this is just like a stack of benefits versus a stack of benefits from other dress shoes, and it works the same way. Works perfectly fine. This is an example of a campaign like that we sent for an underwear partner brand that is working with us, you can see the amount of revenue we put in from this email without a discount. That's the whole point of sending campaigns like this. You want to be able to pull in revenue without having to sacrifice discount, sacrifice profit margins. Moving on to the next email campaign angle, we're looking at science behind campaign angles, right? So you want to educate and build trust with this kind of emails. That's the whole goal. You want to break down specific ingredients, material, or process. That is the whole point of this. Breaking down specific ingredients, talk about the scientific part, talk about the technical part, and break it down to a 5-year-old's kind of understanding, that kind of thing. The assets that you'll be needing for this kind of campaign is the products R&D notes, supplier, manufacturer facts, and then some visual behind the scenes pictures if you have those, but not necessarily needed. Right? But you just need the facts behind each ingredient of your product or whatever it is that you want to break down the science behind of. So bonus tip is also that you should always tie the content in this email back to the customer experience, right? There is no point of you highlighting certain features and logical science facts and stuff without you tying it back to how it's going to be beneficial to the person you're talking to. I mean, the one thing that makes this email very efficient is at the end of it all, you always tie your science behind all of your processes and all the breakdown and all of those ingredients back to the fact that it is beneficial to the customer you're talking to. So a good example of this is one from Omnilux. As you can see, 40 plus clinical studies, one clear conclusion. Omnilux is working. Omnilux was founded by a group of dermatologists and researchers. They went first of all into small story about the brand, and in that small copy you can already see them using the science behind. Founded by a group of dermatologists and researchers, science is our DNA. With over 40 plus peer-reviewed clinical studies published on our technology, we don't just claim results, we prove them. So you can also see it here. Clinical research on the Omnilux contour device revealed incredibly high user satisfaction after using the device 3 times per week for 4 weeks. Benefit 1, benefit 2. I think this is a GIF, whatever you call it. And you can see one clear science statement here. Science behind 98% of participants felt their skin was firmer. And then they matched a perfect before after section also with their claims, right? So the customer or whoever is reading this email can actually connect this fact with a real benefit, a real life benefit. As you can see, real people, real result Omnilux users have seen. So this ties into the tip that I mentioned here. You always want to tie it back to the customer experience or the customer's benefit. And yeah, as you can see, this is another example from Byte. Small bits, big results, science-backed ingredients that actually work. That's very, very clear header telling you that they are going into the science side of the science juicy part of the creation of their products. You can see them talking nano hydroxide pet, whatever that is, xylitol, sodium bicarbonate, zinc citrate. So they're getting into the nitty-gritty of what is behind the product, what actually makes the product work. And then, as you can see, like I said earlier, from my tip here, always tying it back to the customer experience, they also bumped it up with like a section highlighting a customer review that is contextual to what message they're trying to pass. This toothpaste really works. I can tell that my teeth are cleaner. I don't have any sensitivity issues. My teeth are also whiter, blah, 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 blah. This is an example of this email being that we sent out for a partner brand. As you can see, it's driven about 3.5K in revenue without a discount. Right. This is the whole point of using this campaign angles. You want to be able to create email revenue without having to sacrifice discounts. Moving on to the next campaign angle that you can use, very, very easy. Say you're tired of actually writing copies, or you just are dealing from a writer's block, you don't know what to do. A good place to just default to is to literally just stack up your customer reviews on Trustpilot or whatever. Just stack it up. make it into a fine graphic email, and literally just send that. It works a ton. It sounds very simple, but it works a ton, right? So you want to reinforce the whole point of this campaign is to reinforce trust through actual proof. So how do you do this? You curate real codes, reviews, or before and afters. You need the assets that you need are your customer review screenshots, your customer photos, or influencers talking about your brand. A bonus tip, of course, would be to organize by use case or buyer persona for relevance. I'll give you an example. This is an example from Noise. Yes, Noise. So our new explosive floral fragrance is a hit over 400. It's a hit over 400 plus reviews. Here's why hitting the road is always a good idea. And you can see they just stacked review upon review with complimentary photos and literally a shop now button, just like that. It's as simple as that. This is another review email from Bombas. You can see in review Sunday Mirror slippers, and they literally just stacked review upon review with a very visual photo, right? And then a shop now at the end of everything. Finally, one from Hydrants. You can see, don't just take our word for it. We're proud to have helped hundreds of thousands of customers, and then you can see them stacking reviews. And then they're also adding some facts into some like statistics into it. 252,000 plus lives changed across 70 million sticks. Review, and then right. So it's as easy as that. This is an example of an email that we sent out, just one email according to social proof campaign, and this is the amount of revenue that we got from that one email, right? From literally just stacking reviews upon reviews. So you have no excuse. And finally, I think it's the problem solution email. This is the one email that actually drives the most revenue, I would say, especially amongst the audience that are less likely to purchase from you, say among your non-purchasers segment, right? Audience segments. You want to send this email often to them because it always works. It always works. So you want to tap into their emotions. You want to emotionally drive action, because for them to have been signed up to your email list initially, they have a pain that you solve. So the framework to do this, of course, is to call out a relatable pain, describe the frustration in clear wording, and offer a solution. Offer your product as a solution, right? So assets you need are customer codes. You want to also, from those customer codes, find out a pain point that is common amongst your customers. Also find out a pain point that is common amongst the reviews you get and the support tickets that you get, things like that. So an example of this type of email is this one from Disco. You can see one size does not fit all. The products that are lined on the shelves at department stores and inside bars are formulated for the masses. This is something that would have already been on the back of the mind of like whoever is the ICP for Disco. And then as you can see, this email is typically a very wordy email because it touches on a lot of points for it to drive home the message that is trying to pass along. So you can see, don't be fooled by the fancy packaging and sleek marketing of the mass manufactured skincare products that are offered today. They were safe for men on them, but they are actually the exact same formulas used in unisex and lady products and remarketed toward men. This is a problem, because when you take something you care about, like your face, you shouldn't be putting any old, and then they just keep going like that, driving home that pain, right? So they take some idea that they already know is behind the customer's mind, right? It's already eating at the back of the customer's mind, but they don't have a solution for it. They keep pushing it down, or they're not too sure they are ready to deal with that problem. So they take that problem. What a PAS email does is it takes that problem and then it brings it to the limelight, shines light to it, and then agitates on that problem very much. Then at the end of it all, it now sort of like brings spotlights our brand, or the whoever is writing the emails brand, as the solution to that problem. See what's happening here. So you can see next time you see a product on the shelf, take a look at that compared to its lady counterpart. You'll be sure to see blah blah blah. We're sorry you've been fooled for so long, but that's what we're striving to break here at Disco. Look at that sweet transition, right? Moving from so problem transitioning to, but that's what we're striving to break here at this goal. They want to empower you with information, tools, and community to, and then they very, very sleazy buy now at the end of it all. Same thing here done by Belroy. Baggage bulk stuff, it can slow you down, leave you in a twist. While twists are good. So they added a few, how would I put it, fun into this copy. Most of the time, we want life to feel more seamless. As part of the Belroy community, you're probably familiar with our aim to help. And now we're excited to share the first in a series of videos that show those moments of struggles. So this links back to a video that shows these problems and all of that. And then they also added a few photos you can see describing like problematic, and then this is when they solve it, right? Showing problem and literally a solution from Belroy, showing a problem and literally a solution from Belroy, like that. And it goes on and on and on. So they added a bit more fun to the copy here. This is another example from Press. Feel less puffy, more like you. Very, very good problem solution email. We all know the feeling. And they just went on driving on that problem again and again here. It's frustrating, but also totally fixable. And then they switched immediately. That's why a lot of people turn to Press. And there it is. There it is. So that's pretty much it. This is an example of a past email that we sent out for another web brand partner that we work with. You can see about 8K from an email that is not offering a discount. This is another one, about 4K from that same email. On a repeat, by the way. this was the same email repeated. Right. So another thing about these campaigns is that you can repeat them over time. You don't always have to come up with a new campaign every time. You can repeat these over time. Just not too frequently, of course. If not, your audience will know. So yes, that's pretty much it. There are more campaigns that you can send out to your audience, but these are the ones that I recommend you start implementing right now. It's very easy for you to come up with something to send out in place of sending discounts and losing margins. If you feel like you don't have time to implement all of this, you can just reach out to me in the description below, and we'll look at how we can help you create more campaigns, send out to your audience, make you more money by virtue of that.